So we're back here with S.L.Á.T.U.R, the composers collective from Iceland. And in this segment, we're going to talk a little bit more about how we as a collective work together and how we collaborate and what collaboration means in the way that we work together as a collective. And as we touched a little bit on in a previous section, the S.L.Á.T.U.R collective is very much consisting of individuals with very strong ideas, individual ideas of how the music should be and how the aesthetic should be and all this kind of stuff. And when we do concerts, it's usually individual pieces by the individual composers and not so much collaboratively composed pieces, even though we have done it for certain projects. So our main, could we say, collaboration, just superficially, is creating these concerts, creating this New Year's concerts, creating our festival together, and these different events. And then we also have been touring abroad for different, well, maybe not touring, but like doing projects abroad these recent years that has been more collaborative in nature, where we have been working more together on the creative outputs. But as I said, we are highly individuals in this collective with our own kind of ideas about what is important in the music, and we have very, I would say, very differentiated, even though they're maybe similar in some ways, but still very differentiated approaches to the animated notation praxis, instrument building. Do we want to project the score for the audience or not? It's different approaches and different ideas about it. And we often also, when we make these projects together, we often get into arguments because we have very strong opinions about things, and so it always has this kind of very kind of alive and very energetic way of collaboration, I would say, because there are these very often contrasting ideas of how things should be done, and somehow it kind of ends up bubbling out as a volcano and things, work out, because it's also about, and that's maybe what is a common thing with us, it's about, doing the thing, and it's more important than not doing.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I think collaboration, it's a way, and working with someone else often means that you have to change your aesthetics or change the ideas, and to accept things that you would not do otherwise. Something like it's a chance to get out of the comfort zone a little bit, and there is nothing wrong with that, and often it means that you are more free to do things that you would not normally do, and I think that's kind of a big bonus of working with other people. Also, just like very often things come out of it that one individual could not necessarily do, and I think also what I think is very important in terms of functioning as a composers collective of individual composers creating their own music is just the idea of knowing that somewhere nearby there is another person somehow that you know, and you can talk about your music to that person, or this, like it forms a small kind of like a social group that is aware of others' creative output, and that for any it's just like a country, big or small, I think it makes a difference if people somehow alone working on their thing or in some contact with something else, even though it doesn't have to be any kind of specific agreement with others, but just the idea that there are other creative people working around you, that changes very much, I think. And people don't really realize it and see it until they try to have this kind of mini society, and then it makes a big difference, I think.
Yeah, you learn a lot by following the creative process by others and discuss their works, and it's actually like what academy is all about, and the word academia is about this platform. So it's sort of an academy, that being in a collective, you share thoughts, share what you're trying, maybe you get some opinions on what you're doing, and so there's a lot more to gain than just producing concerts together or yeah, like this aspect of the collective is, at least for me, was really important part. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say exactly the same thing. I'm originally from Denmark and moved to Iceland for I moved permanently 9 years ago, but I got adopted by the S.L.Á.T.U.R crew, and it kind of became a school for me of learning about certain compositional practices and animated notation and instrument building and all these kind of things. And this was something I could not find anywhere in Denmark at the time, and it was nowhere. It was just very localized within this collective in Iceland. So,
and I also think it's important, if you feel the need of working with others, then there is no, and people don't have to look for these things in the academic world or in a certain city, or to move from a small town to a bigger structure or something, a bigger city or something. Because often in the big countries, big cities, then people also get lost. So I think people can start their own group very easily. I don't think it's anything wrong with new things and creative things taking place in a small town or an isolated area somewhere far away, and that often can be a benefit, that you're not influenced by things that are happening somewhere else. So I would definitely recommend that people work together, not necessarily working on the same thing, but share a space and time, and work in parallel or close by to other people that are interesting. So, and I think that is how things happen. If people somehow group together, do their own thing, then something happens. Sometimes we don't come to an agreement. There's agree not to agree, or sometimes, but also I think the kind of the structure for decisions within the group has changed a few times. We tried to have somehow like a organizing committee, and then it developed more into that anyone can form kind of like an organizational part of S.L.Á.T.U.R. So if me and Jesper wanted to work...
A secret organization.
It was for a moment also called like shadow committees, that we could form a small kind of organization on behalf of S.L.Á.T.U.R. doing a certain kind of side project or kind of sub-project. And this has worked quite well, and I think the main and we also noticed that sometimes people have opinions without participating in the project, and then that of course just creates more complexity and difficulties. So we very quickly just ruled out the option of people sharing their or having much opinion on stuff that they are not involved with. So a lot of the projects that we do not include everyone. That's just how it works. It somehow works without there being much organization in it, and it's very self-organized, and that's also is a result of somehow there not really being money involved in it. It's not a job for us, and this is something that we want to do, and is a part of our life as composers, and that is another advice for young people thinking about getting into music or art. Just don't expect there to be some kind of that it would be a normal job. This is art, at least in Iceland, every artist has to work other jobs and then work enough and have enough free time somehow to be able to work on their art. And I think this is a very important thing also, just because when people need money to survive, well, okay, everyone needs a little bit of money somehow, but if people rely on the money coming from their artworks, then it changes very much what they do. So in terms, if you are completely sure from the beginning that you don't get anything from your art, then you're much more free to do whatever. Then you're not dependent on popularity or some kind of need for selling out, we can say. So yeah, that's a side topic still, but so we gladly collaborate with S.L.Á.T.U.R, as depending on if people have time or not, and depending on who is interested in a certain topic or a certain concert or something. And normally it's the ones that are involved in the project, they do the organization as well. So we are just, everyone is doing everything, and there's no specific roles in the collective.
Yeah, it came out really early on that that those involved in the projects and that do all the work, they have their voice within it, and because of course everybody has opinions about different stuff, and because it's a lot of individuals, but it's mostly those that the projects involve, they have a saying in the project, and it kind of came a bit early on, because it's just a lot of time going through all arguments and trying to kind of find a golden way, but then maybe people aren't involved in the projects. So yeah, so it's each project has its own kind of certain group of people, and yeah.
But still there's this underlying motto almost that we have is participation is required for participating, somehow, for participation. So you have to take active part. There's not, you can't just coast along and let somebody else organize everything, and you just, this is not how it works. You participate to participate,
Yeah. Collaboration can be so much. It can be just sharing ideas or discussing ideas. It can be working on one project together, making a concert. It's such a diverse topic, collaborating. And to me, I always collaborate a lot with the performers. I kind of get to know them a lot more, because I often want to have their kind of character built into the pieces. And I like to share thoughts of my own with them and have a reflection from them. So I guess, like, even though writing music as a composer is a kind of individual sport, it cannot be without the social interaction, and like music is all about social interaction. So it's on this strange field where it's individual, and you as an audience member, you're listening and you're like you have your own perception of music and thoughts about music, but in the end it's all about being social and being kind of sharing thoughts and sharing music.
Be productive, don't be afraid of failing.
That's experimental, that's the goal of experiments, is the possibility of failure.
And it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
No.
What could possibly go wrong?